Welcome back to Sikkim 365 Radio. Our weekly segment with Baylor Director of Athletics, Mack Rhodes, is brought to you by Edward Jones Investments Brokers. Tom Albers, Brad Wilson, Ben Erlinson, and Cam Heathcott. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
All right, here we go. It is Tuesday, 4/20. Mack Rhodes, Baylor's Director of Athletics, joins us on Sikkim 365 Radio. Mack, thank you very much for your time. What's it like on campus? This is a game where you're going to find out about your team, and obviously Iowa State will learn more. They had their loss to Iowa. Is there a sense that this is a big moment game for Baylor football?
Yeah, I think there's a sense of excitement. Obviously, Big 12 home opener against a really good football team. Ranked 14th in the country, I think, in both polls, and having gold out. It's also family weekend, and so there's just a lot of excitement surrounding the game. And you said it. I think, and again, I say this very respectfully. With the first three games, we did what we expected to do, and thought that we got a little better each game, but this will be a formidable test. Iowa State's really big and physical, obviously well coached, and so looking forward to the challenge. And we need it to be sold out when we think about Baylor and national relevancy. The top 15 programs in the country, and we've certainly have been at that, but these are the games that sell out, and we need it sold out, we need it loud, and we need the energy. So looking forward to it, and we've got some tickets still left to sell, but I'm hopeful that we can get there and make it really an unbelievable college football environment.
Mack, I asked this question knowing that your best opponents are still ahead of you on this schedule, but does the first three games kind of show you how much weight we should have put behind a COVID year's football season?
Yeah, I mean, for us it did, just because or it does, because missing the spring. I just think that really had a huge impact for us last year, and again, wouldn't have as much if you had a staff together and the same head coach, same system. But when all of that changed for us, I think that was really impactful, negatively for us, and being able to have the staff go through a spring practice together, and with our student athletes, with each other, I thought was really, really big. I mentioned this to somebody the other day. The road trip, I went into the dining area where everybody was eating, and just the camaraderie amongst the staff was just different than what it was last year. And I think a big part of that was just not being around each other as much as this staff has been, not going through a spring. And so, I think that absolutely it's made a difference. And, I give kudos to Coach Grimes and the rest of the offensive staff. They've done a really, really nice job. And, I feel like offensively we've got an identity, and we know who we are and who we want to be, and not trying to be somebody that we're not.
Do you sense a difference with Dave Aranda now in year 2 versus year 1?
Yeah, I do, and I say that in a very positive way. I think he continues to grow as a head coach. I think he made a comment, maybe national TV, the the Kansas game, or maybe the commentators alluded to it about, him being an introvert and trying to find his trying to be comfortable being uncomfortable, and more outspoken and standard and demanding and holding people accountable. And those are all areas that he's grown tremendously in and continues to grow in. He's, and he's going to continue to do that. And that's what I appreciate. I think the great ones continue to evolve and learn. And, we've talked about it before. He's extremely smart, very, very intellectual, but also humble, or I shouldn't say and humble. And I just think, he's always going to continue to look and see how he can be better. And, he's done a great job with this program in a very short time.
All right, I got to ask you, because I went JUCO out of high school, and there are times when I have an opportunity to sit down and interview him or listen to him in the press conference, and there are times which I am not intellectually smart enough to sometimes grasp what he's trying to say, because he can get very deep and yet be very simple. What did you see that almost immediately? Did you almost feel that from him immediately, that he can go into a level of deep and yet also it's making sense?
Yeah, I mean, my goodness, he's a philosophy major. That's number one.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
And which probably surprises no one, but I really appreciate. I love that when we can get into conversations that get deep and get philosophical, but yet be simple. I love that part of him, and I think our players do. That's who he is. And here's the other thing that I appreciate about him is he's not trying to be somebody that he's not. He knows who he is. He followed a coach here who did a great job, but was very much, very different in terms of his personality. And, Dave's not trying to be that person or anybody else, or the person that he worked for, at any of the previous institutions that he was defensive coordinator at. He knows who he is. And that doesn't mean, like I said, that he's not trying to grow, because he is, but he's not trying to be somebody he's not.
I know that when you interview coaches, like one of your, topics you have to make sure is their knowledge, or, their X and O knowledge of the game. Was that checked off your list pretty quickly? Like right when you asked him an X and O question in the interview, like, nope, that's fine. We got that one covered. Yeah,
he's really good in that area. As he knows football. He's got that piece covered on both sides of the ball. I know that as a defensive coordinator, sometimes you might think it's just the defensive side of the ball, but I think because he was a defensive coordinator and he knows, being in that spot, what's really hard to defend. I think, equally, he's really smart scheme wise on the offensive side of the ball as well. So, it didn't take long to figure that one out.
So, Mac, we know that there's a gold out planned for Saturday. Folks need to wear gold to the game if they can. But anything else that fans need to know coming in as far as activities or just anything planned for this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, just know that it's family weekend, and we expect to have a big crowd and just come, be loud, bring your energy. Let's make it the hardest place that Iowa State has to play at this year.
Mac, I don't know if you heard the story, but what's his name? Charlie Brewer is transferring.
What's his name?
I'm sorry. Yeah, Charlie Brewer is no longer a part of the Utah program. I know you wouldn't have inside information on that, but it's about what he was when he was at Baylor, his 4 years at Baylor. How do you describe what he gave Baylor and who he was when he was here?
Yeah, one, I would just say I hope Charlie and his family I hope they're in a good place, and I did see that he was leaving the program. I don't know if it's been clear yet whether or not he's entering the transfer portal and is going to continue to try to play or not. But thinking about him, and he's got a soft spot in my heart, and I think for many of us here, within the coaching staff, the administration, sports medicine, strength and conditioning, because he was such a competitor, and he laid it on the line. And you think about the Sugar Bowl year 2019 and some of the shots that he took and got back up and walked back into the game, and in the way he led that team, just a fearless competitor. Felt like he always represented Baylor with class and character, and again, he'll always be one of my favorites for all that he did.
We have a picture of you somewhere around here in the office, Mac, where I believe
the
it
fist pump?
is the
Denzel Mims,
the Denzel Mims touchdown that you were right there. You could have called it. The official was confused. You were that close to the play. Maybe one of my favorite pictures of you was from that moment.
Yeah, no, that was I remember that moment. I was a little bit fired up, and as I can get a little bit sometimes, and again, that was a great moment, great comeback, and it's about competing, right? And in everything you do in life, you compete. And I was telling somebody on the road trip, and it was just a small little detail, but I was talking about in everything you do, there's a winner or a loser. And so bring it every single moment, every single minute.
Mac, non-football related, I saw where Baylor women's basketball put out the schedule for Nikki Collins' tip-off Texas tour. He's going to be hitting a handful of cities beginning next week. How excited are you to see her out on the road, meeting fans and people getting to know her a little bit better ahead of the season?
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I appreciate, Craig, you bringing it up. And, Lubbock and Houston and Austin, Dallas, Fort Worth, Tyler, Permian Basin. And so just an opportunity for our Baylor family to get to know her a little bit better. And they'll absolutely, love that hour or hour and a half that they get to spend with her and hear from her. And so again, that will be a lot of fun. Scott's going to join her at the one in Dallas, which I believe is on the 28th. And so that will be a double header and again, a lot of fun for that group. But she's had a huge impact, and they begin official practice I think a week from tomorrow, and excited for her in that program.
Last thing, it does seem as if things have settled down quite a bit when it comes to the future of college football, the conference, and much more. Is that this because the season has begun, or because of the announcements from a couple of 2 or 3 weeks ago with what you guys are doing within the Big 12? How is it behind the scenes? Pretty quiet?
Yeah, it's been a little bit quiet, and I think you're right, Smoak, when you say it's we got over that hurdle and the announcement of the 4. I think the work is still out in front of us, and we'll begin to really dive into that when we think about scheduling, et cetera, right? Those 3 teams are still, or the 3 American Athletic Conference teams, they're still in the process of when they leave that current conference. And And I think, that's probably the next thing for us to get through. And then we can really go to work in terms of scheduling and some other things that are associated with it. So, obviously we're keeping an eye on those four every football weekend and wishing them all of the best.
Well, I think BYU is going to be Pac-12 champions soon, Max.
Yeah.
So they're going to be a great addition with the way they've started off. No, it's been a good start for all those teams.
Yeah, it really has. I mean, BYU. I was able to get home in time and watch the most of, if not all of it. I think I've got to watch all of it. The Arizona State BYU game, and BYU is a physical football team, and again. When we talked about adding them football relevancy, they're physically at that Power 5 level, and they look really, really good. And watched a little bit of the Cincinnati at Indiana game before we headed over to the stadium on Saturday. And although they got down early, they came back, found a way to win, and watched the Central Florida game. That was a heartbreaking loss Friday night. Did not get a chance to see Houston playing. I think they may have been playing while we were not sure. But wishing those four all the best.
Thank you, Mac. See you Saturday. Mac Rhodes, Director of Athletics at Baylor University, with us most every Tuesday around 4:20 or so.
And I didn't throw it in there at the end, but we'll also see BYU very soon.
Yeah, absolutely.
Here in the next few weeks.
Still it's just weird. It's just almost spooky that the year they have Brigham Young on their schedules, the year all of this happens, and nobody saw it coming. Not even those who saw it coming until, of course, it got deep into the year, and here we are. And I do think the season's starting. I do think that there are some teams that have a little bit of a red ass, so to speak. Excuse me. That doesn't mean that's going to help you win, but I think there's some people a little extra focused and tuned in to try to say, hey, what about us? And I think there's a little bit of that turf war pride going on. That doesn't mean it lasts, but so far you have seen that a little bit.
Yeah, and I think, as far as expansion goes, that's obviously a hot topic for a lot of people and why a lot of people have watched us. But with the season starting, that has kind of been pushed to the side. Once the Big 12 made their decision, yes, there is that dangling carrot of they're going to add some more teams, most likely, in the next few years, but that's a very open time frame. That could be a year from now. That could be 10 years from now, for all we know. So that's a very much TBD type of thing still. And so, with nothing really, no big move to make now. I mean, Texas and Oklahoma have made their move. Big 12's made their move. American, is going to probably fill up some teams, but they're not going to do it right in the middle of a football season. It's going to be probably more of an off-season type of a thing. So I'm sure we'll still get little sprinkles here and there or little crumbs of a trail to what realignment's ultimately going to look like. But right now, everybody's too busy with what's in front of them, and that's understandable.
All right, what's in front of us will be.
And I got to make mention too. You're talking about college football and teams having a prove it thing. It's very true. BYU, Cincinnati, maybe it's just because I'm watching them with Big 12 eyes now, but it's like, okay, they got a little extra juice. But I also think the fact that you've got so many 6th, 7th-year seniors, so many people who have played games, it's just making for a better product, and it's making everybody across the board a lot more balanced than they typically would be. Teams who would normally lose their star player or whatever, and then, it takes them a couple years to get wound back up. I mean, now everybody pretty much had everybody return, so everybody's stronger than they normally are heading into this season.
When we come back, Craig